Hello. If we don't know each other yet, my name is Addie deHilster of Moved to Meditate, and this is my first ever video diary or vlog or whatever we're going to call it, week in the life of a certified yoga therapist, mindfulness meditation teacher, and Qigong instructor. I teach online and I teach here where I live in the community in Vancouver, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, mainly in clinical spaces. So I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes of my week and how I really enjoy bringing creative forms of meditation and movement to help unlock mindfulness skills so that we can all be a little bit more present in our lives. In this video, I'm actually going to take you to the beach where I got this delicious sunburn. And we're going to talk a little bit behind the scenes about some of the classes I taught this week, one in particular, and you're going to see a silly moment with my little cat Mustache when he was so happy we got back from our trip. And I'll share one of the creative meditations that I've been using with the teenagers that I teach, which is an adventure. So this is a new creative kind of thing I'm trying. I've never really done like a vlog or a video diary sort of project before, but I felt kind of inspired to try something new. And I've been learning a little bit more about video editing, so look out. We're gonna get not even a little fancy here, but I thought it might be kind of interesting just to show a different side of the yoga world and the mindful movement world, because I think a lot of us automatically think yoga studio or fitness center or some of the typical places that we practice yoga or we see yoga offered. But there is a lot of movement and yoga and mindfulness going on outside of those environments and in places like where I'm often teaching now, in clinical settings and healthcare settings, and bringing yoga into and mindful movement into these different places to reach whole entire new groups of people who might never step foot into a yoga studio. So I thought some of you might find it interesting to kind of follow along with that and see what, a week in the life of a full-time yoga therapist and mindful movement teacher looks like. So off we go. So let's start with a trip to the beach. I'm not showing you the beach because I have the glamorous life of a wellness influencer. Believe me, my life is pretty simple, and I like it that way. I do get to share something I love for a living, but it's not like jet setting off to Bali in designer yoga wear, sipping a green juice smoothie. Anyway, the reason we went on this trip was to celebrate the life of my sister-in-law. My husband Mike's sister passed away a few months ago from cancer, so we traveled to South Alabama where she lived to be with his family and have her memorial. My sister-in-law was a really good person, a nurse, and she worked most of her life in elder care. She was a hard worker and a kind soul, and cancer sucks. But it was good to see family and honor her. We stayed for a few extra days afterwards, so we had some time on our hands to visit Gulf Shores. Of course, I had to do a little beach Qigong. What better place to do this pushing waves form, which is one of my favorites. It was a little tricky with my feet sinking into the wet sand, but the inspiration made up for that. Mike and I spent the rest of the day sitting in the shade and still getting sunburned somehow. We stared out at the ocean, listened to the waves, and I did some sock knitting. The next day we got up really early and flew home. My brother and his wife were kind enough to house sit and cat sit for us, but our kitty Mustache was pretty happy to see us. He's not a super social cat, and he stayed holed up in our bedroom avoiding their sweet dog most of the time we were gone. Except at night, when everyone was asleep. He does like to party at night. Hey, so it's Wednesday morning. I'm in between my two classes that I drive down and teach on Wednesday morning, and I'm tired today. We just got back from our trip. Like yesterday, we were flying all day yesterday, and for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to work today. So here we are. On Wednesdays, I get up at 5:30. So good. And drive down south of Portland. I live in Vancouver, Washington, so I have to drive to the suburbs south of Portland. I have to leave early, not because it always takes that long, but because I'm trying to avoid traffic. And sometimes the traffic can be a thing going over the bridges. So I have to leave pretty early. So that's what I did this morning. I've taught my first class. I've got another class coming up in about 45 minutes. It's like 5 minutes from here. So I'm sitting in the Starbucks parking lot like I do. And a lot of times I sit here and doom scroll on my phone, eat a snack, or better times I knit while I'm sitting here, work on something instead of scrolling. But right now I thought it would be fun to just sort of like record a little bit of this and share a little bit about what I'm teaching and what the day is like and all the background stuff that I'm doing kind of in between that. I'm a little distracted by the blue IKEA bag back here that you can see. It is my yoga bag. I have, an IKEA bag is the perfect length for a yoga mat, in case you didn't know. So I carry this IKEA bag around to some of my classes that I teach in person. It's got like a mat, a blanket, and whatever else I need for that class. Like some of the classes I do down here, I bring a little Bluetooth speaker so I can play music for them. I have like little lights that I use to decorate this one room. Anyway, so it's a whole thing. So the classes that I'm teaching down here, and the reason I drive all the way down here is because these are yoga therapy classes that I teach for a residential eating disorder treatment facility. And actually I go to 2 of them. The one I'm about to go to is for adults, and the one I went to early at 8:15 a.m. class for teenagers who are in serious eating disorder treatment recovery program. So that has been a really interesting job. I really enjoy it for the most part. It can be very challenging, as you can imagine. I had never taught teenagers, really. I'd always taught like more mature adults in my career. But it's really been an interesting challenge in stretching me as a teacher over the last, I've been doing it for about a little over a year. Not only relating to younger people, I have a lot of skills and a lot of practice adapting yoga and meditation practices for different populations and people with different things going on, like physically or mental health wise. But this is like a whole new level to do that with teenagers and to teach in this environment and knowing that, what they have going on is an eating disorder. So my job is to try and engage them to participate at all. But when I can get them to engage and participate, to help them experience their body in a different way that isn't about making it look a certain way or perform in a certain way, but to actually feel the body from the inside out and to learn that movement can be about pleasure or self-expression or joy or just calming ourselves down. And it's not always about exercise or trying to burn calories or something like that, because most of the people who end up in eating disorder treatment have used exercise as part of that pattern, right? Of over exercising or using exercise as like a compensation or to make up for something they've eaten or something like that. So we're trying to create a more healthy relationship to movement outside of that paradigm and create some other ways of relating. So that is an interesting project with teenagers, and I honestly love them. They're hilarious. They're always surprising me. They're always teaching me new things and stretching me as a teacher. And one of the things that I've had to get really creative with trying to get them to like do a breath meditation, for example. And one of the things I've come up with is using little stones sometimes. And the stones are kind of special. I don't bring them in every time. But every once in a while, I will bring in like these little, crystals. I've never been a yoga teacher that was all about the crystals and stuff, but anything to engage these kids. So I have them choose a crystal. I kind of like array them in the room. It's also the room, oops, I dropped one between the seats. It's also the room where they do school and different like group therapies and stuff. So I try to transform it a little to be more kind of a relaxing yoga vibe. And I had, I'll have to find that later. I have them choose a stone, right? And then we sit, oh, there's one. Uh, we sit and hold the stone. We do a little mindful contemplation of kind of look at the shape of it. What's the shape of your stone? This one's really cubey. Some of them are more oval. Feel it. Is it smooth? Is it rough? You know, I'm careful with saying with this population heavy or light. You know, that would maybe be something you would ordinarily use, but like triggering potentially, you know, to call out those kind of like weight-based words for this population. But, you know, I would say look at the color. Is it uniform throughout? Does the color change? Is it splotchy? Does it have dots? Does it have stripes? Because we have all different stones. So we did that kind of little mindful experience of the stone. And then we hold the two stones in our palms. Got my palms down here. And as we breathe in, we lift the stones up at the top of the inhale, switch the stone to the other hand, and exhale, lower the stone. Inhale, lift the stone, switch the stone at the top of the inhale, exhale all the way down. Inhale, lift the stone, switch the stone to the other hand, and exhale, lower down. You might recognize this pattern as the alternate nostril breathing. So we're not doing it with the nostrils, but kind of energetically up and down the two side channels of the body. So I'm just kind of giving it a more tangible focus with the rock. It's something that kind of engages the kids and gets them to participate. So that has been one of our more successful things. It's been interesting. There were even some kids who like really tuned me out at first and who really just didn't, they were too cool for yoga. But the day I brought in the rocks, they were like, what's this? And took a rock, and I look back and all of a sudden they're like doing the meditation with me. So I was floored the first time I brought it in, and it's been something I've done periodically over the months, and it generally this activity is a winner. So if you work with kids or any group of people that you know you want to kind of add some kind of element of interest or fun and just sort of get them to engage with a breath practice, maybe experiment with, you know, what can I do with some rocks and bring it into like a breathing practice or mindful contemplation of some kind. So that's one of my little tricks that I've devised to work with this group over the last year or so. So we did that with the kids today. Later on, I'm going to go and teach the adults, and I haven't brought the rocks in with them. They probably like it too, but they don't seem to need that because they're a little more willing to participate in the yoga. With the adults, it's much more a situation where they have chosen to take themselves into treatment, as opposed to having their parents and doctors say, you're going into treatment. So that's a tough one for the kids because they're not always on board with being there and on working with this issue that they have. So I have a lot of compassion for them, and I really try to kind of make it as fun as possible and just plant a lot of little seeds for them. And it's always kind of amazing when you come back a few weeks later and you thought no one was listening, but all of a sudden, like, you hear them say back something to you that you planted as a seed previously. So that's been a really interesting job, and I really love doing it. And it's worth getting up early. It's worth the drive. And it's just, yoga therapy in a behavioral health environment, right? It's so different than just teaching regular yoga classes to the general public, and, you know, people coming into the studio because they want to take a yoga class and having a straightforward, you know, yoga class experience. This is a different animal, but a great one. And anyway, I just thought it would be fun to start sharing some of these things that I do, some of these like different ways of offering yoga that we don't often like hear about and, you know, get information about. If you're a teacher and you're interested in doing something like yoga therapy, like maybe it gives you a glimpse of kind of what it would be like. And so I don't know, I hope it's kind of fun to hear about. I'll tell you about some of my other classes in another video, but for now I think I'm gonna eat my snack, pick up my knitting, and I'll talk to you later. Did you want to be in the video? Ah! You got me. I think you got me. Okay, stinker. Yes, mostly you've been a lovey since we've been back. I'm gonna sniff my foot. Sniff my foot. Okay. He's been really excited that he's not being house sat anymore by my brother and sister-in-law and mostly the doggy Peter, his cousin Peter. He's not afraid of Peter, but he would really prefer it if Peter wasn't in his house. He went home last night, so now Mustache is king of the castle again. Isn't that right? Bye! It's Thursday. I just got done teaching 2 classes this morning. All my classes today are virtual on Zoom, so I don't have to drive anywhere. Yay! Which is good because I'm still pretty tired from recovering from the trip and jumping right back into everything in my full schedule yesterday. So the first class this morning was my mindful movement class for my Moved to Meditate class library subscribers. That was really fun. We have such a fun, loyal group of people who come to that class every week. And we do a mix of yoga, somatics, and Qigong, and just kind of a whole mindful movement blend. And then the class I just finished teaching was the Qigong class I do twice a week for the hospital cancer healing center in the area, somewhat nearby. A lot of the students are in Portland. I'm in Vancouver, so it's virtual, which is good because we can all attend and not have to drive and go somewhere in particular. But that was a really fun class today. I'll tell you more about some of these classes in the future. I can hear Mike back there talking to the cat. He's probably confused about who I'm talking to in here because I don't usually do this. He's in there working. He works from home too in the next room. But basically, I'm going to go get some lunch and continue kind of settling back into being at home. And then this afternoon, I have a mentoring session with one of the Mindful Movement teacher trainees who's finishing up doing the program. So we're going to touch base and answer whatever questions she still has and just kind of celebrate that she's finishing up the Mindful Movement teacher training. And then this evening, one more class. Thursdays are a big day. I teach a mindfulness meditation class for the Cancer Healing Center, and that's also virtual in here. So we'll be gathering and doing a little bit of meditation there at the end of the day. And then dinner, knitting, sleeping. So it's Friday. I made it. It was a really busy week. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this week of travel and jumping back into my teaching schedule. I hope to share more videos like this, taking you behind the scenes of what it's like to offer therapeutic yoga and mindful movement and meditation in lots of different settings and all the different places that I teach, and to share things about my classes and what I'm teaching any particular week. Kind of fun to compare notes. And also some moments of everyday mindfulness and, whatever shenanigans. So if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, the subscribe button like you do on YouTube, and you can also go and visit my website, movedtomeditate.yoga, to learn more about how you might practice with me and to just connect. And the last thing before we go, I wanted to show you the progress on the sock you saw me knitting at the beach. So I was just on the cuff part, right, that day, and now we have we have all of the leg of the sock, and now we have most of the heel. The heel is going to be pink. Isn't that cute? And when it's finished, it's gonna look like this. So I'm on sock number 2 of this pair with the orange and pink cuff, orange toe, pink heel, and this really awesome gray and rainbow yarn. So I'm obsessed. So thanks again for traveling along with me this week, and let's have some more fun next time and see where it takes us.